There we go. There we go. Okay, so welcome to everyone who's on the call now, and welcome to all the guys that are watching us on the YouTube channel. Thank you very much for joining. So for those who are not aware, we are the Zim Property Investors group, and all we do is just add value, and add value. We talk anything and everything property related, and we meet up every Sunday virtually at 5:30 UK time. So today, I know there's a few guys that are on the call now. You are on the WhatsApp group as well, so you're aware what it is that we're discussing. But just to give you guys a heads up, we're going to be talking about the BRRR strategy. And some of you guys may be well aware of what this is. Some of you may not. And if you're not aware, this is a perfect time for you to be listening in. And if you are aware, there's some hints and tips that we're going to be going through that you might want to learn about as well. And also, this is not just about us sort of sharing this value. It's open for anyone who wants to add anything in, ask questions, and it's a bit more of an interactive one. So what we're going to do today, our brother Thabo, who's kindly volunteered to go through the strategy, is going to go through a presentation. And if you've got any questions, feel free to drop them on the chat or just share them at the end of the talk. And if you're watching us on YouTube, feel free to drop the questions on the descriptions or in the comments below, and then we will get back to you. So without wasting too much time talking, I'm going to pass you guys over to Thabo. Thabo, if you could share your screen, or if you'd like me to share it, let me know.
Can you enable me so I can share my screen, please?
No problem. Now that I know how to do it, there you go.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Just give me a thumbs up if you guys can see my screen.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So now, thanks, Muzi, for the introduction. So yeah, I will just go through the BRRR strategy and just talk through it, and we can have a Q&A after the presentation. So yeah, my name is Thabo, and I'll take you guys through it. So what is the BRRR strategy? So this is like the buy, the refurb, the refinance, and the rent. Buy, refurb, rent, and refinance. Other people add an additional R, which means repeat. So that's what the strategy is about. So this is mainly about buying properties. So I know last week we spoke about rent to rent. This is actually acquiring the properties to your name or under your limited company, yeah? So the B, as I've mentioned, so the B stands for buy. So we'll just go through what is the buy, what is buy. So this is about buying a property below market value. So it's about buying right, you know. So what is the market value? So if you look maybe in a street or in an area of a quarter-mile radius, there's various properties, and properties go for different prices. So for example, let's say you want to buy a 2-bedroom house, and in that street there are other 2-bedroom being sold, and there are other like 3-bedroom or 1-bed being sold. So your market value is you comparing like for like properties. So you comparing properties which are the same. So it has to be like 2 beds. So you actually attain the value, the market value of those properties by looking at the previously sold prices of the 2 beds in that area. So you can't like go on the same street and compare a 3-bed and a 1-bed. That skews up your numbers. So below market value is attaining the true value of the property which you want to buy, but in the like for like comparisons in a quarter of a mile radius. So within that radius or same like 500 meters distance of that street, yeah? So I hope like market value, it's hard to really explain, but I hope I've just made myself clear on that. So you want to be buying those properties below that value. So already, maybe, for example, if the properties was 100,000, so that's the market value for that property. So below market value is you buying the property below the 100,000, you know. And I will always explain this again to say market value is not advertised price on Rightmove or on Zoopla or what the seller is asking for, because any seller, anyone selling a property can ask for whatever they want, you know. But market value is you doing your DD, your due diligence, and comparing like what the previous properties you have sold, like for like comparisons, you know. So you want to buy right. Okay, that's what the B is for. And also like I added a few tips on like where do you get these good deals. So you get these good deals on Rightmove, Zoopla, Open Rent, on the market, and also off market deals. So off market deals is when you do like you go direct to the vendor. I think that's something. Yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, so also like other tips on buying. So it's like you want to be looking at areas with popular landmarks. So you want to buy in areas near hospitals, buy in universities, areas close to universities, schools, and local amenities. The reason why is the rental demand in those areas with popular landmarks is pretty high because everyone wants to live in places near the hospitals, university, and schools. So it's easy for you to get tenants to rent to. So you want to be buying in areas with good transport links. Same reason as well is a lot of people who are renting, they want to be in areas with good transport links, train stations, close to bus stations, so things like that. So if you're looking to buy and also buying right, you want to be looking in areas like this. You want to be buying in areas with redevelopment as well. So areas where you can see and like there's growth or future projections of growth around surrounding the areas. And also that information is there on the internet, is there on your local council's website, etc. You know, so another tip as well, you want to be buying in areas with high rental demand. So like so areas which you know like the rent, everyone wants to live there and the rental demand is pretty high, you know. So to summarize the buy is you make your money when you buy. So that's what like Warren Buffett say. So it's always about buying right, you know. That's the fundamental of this strategy. That's the principle, and that's what makes this strategy work. So if you don't buy right, you're skewed. The next R, so what is the next R? The next R is about refabbing, refab. So refab is not simply just taking a property and painting and you say you've added value. You know, like I see a lot of people doing that, and that's nothing to add value by painting a property. So there's many ways to add value to your property. And with the BRRR strategy, you also obviously you start with the end in mind. So like your refab should match what the end result you're trying to achieve. So there's I've also like detailed various ways to add value to your property. The most common ways of adding value to your property is renovating the property to modern standard, you know. So which means this is like adding new kitchens, adding new bathrooms. I mean, renovating the new kitchens, renovating the bathroom, and also changing the flooring and painting and decorating. So like you've taken a property which is distressed, which was like it needed upgrading, it needed TLC. So you've added value by modernizing it and changing stuff in that property. So that's like adding value, so which is recognizable. You know, another way to add value, but this way it comes with these challenges as well, and it usually takes longer in terms of doing the work, etc. So this is like converting the attic or converting, creating a loft space or converting a garage into additional room, etc. So those things add value as well. But like with these adding value strategies, most of the times they have to go through planning. So which like takes time in your refurb process, you know. And another way to add value is through extensions. So you can extend your property, especially obviously only if it's a house. You can extend a house at the rear, at the side. Well, what does that do? That creates a bigger space for your property. That automatically adds value, no questions asked. So with you adding an additional kitchen space, additional living room and bedrooms, that's adding value, you know. So on the refurb space as well, it's so like a lot of people always ask is like, oh, when I'm doing the refurb, how do I go on about it? The most and first important thing is to get 3 to 5 quotes from builders, you know. And also, like, once you get these 3 to 5 quotes from builders, you compare. So, and I always tell people as well, it's not always about the price. It's not always about, oh yeah, I'll go with the cheapest builder. The cheapest builder might be cheap, but he's gonna take donkey years to finish that project. So you just have to like build relationships with those builders and see which one works for you, you know, like from doing your due diligence on them. So it's about building relationships with the builders and actually going to see their previous jobs in person, you know. A lot of people want to see the builders work on the pictures. Yeah, anyone can show you pictures. Anyone can download pictures on Pinterest or Instagram to show you, to say this is my work. But why don't you go to the actual site they've finished off, or actual work, and speak to the people like, oh, how was it working with this builder? Did you do a good job, etc.? So you can get a feel of the builder before you spend 10 to 15K on a rogue builder or on a cowboy builder, you know. So also another point on the refurb part, you know, I did mention about getting comparables within the space, within the property. So once you look in that 500 meters radius of the properties around, you can feel from looking at the pictures, the properties which have been sold, the properties which are actually being sold now, which are selling now, sorry, and also the properties which are on the rental market within that 500 meters radius. You can tell what type of finish people are going for, you know. So if you look at sold properties selling now and properties being rented out now, you can tell like, okay, cool. So in this area, the refurb standard is XYZ. You know, you can tell no one is adding jacuzzis, no one is adding gold taps or anything like that. So this is the reason why I'm mentioning this is you don't want to go overboard on your refurb and you're still not going to achieve your ceiling price. You know, so you want to do a refurb which is reasonable and also break or achieve the highest ceiling price of that area. Yeah, so I think on the refurb, those are the points which I wanted to talk about. But if you've got questions on this, you can ask in the end. So I'll go to the next R now. So the next R is renting out. So with this strategy, there's many ways which you can rent out the property. The most important thing is the B, which is like the buying. So once you bought the property, obviously you've got the end in mind, you know, okay, cool, I'm buying this property for X strategy, you know. So when it comes to renting out strategy, it's all your preference, you know, what strategy you're working on. But I just listed like the few strategies which people are actually doing now. So there's the buy to let, which is actually renting out your property as a single let to a family or to one individual. And there's also like a serviced accommodation. Serviced accommodation is where you rent out your property on a nightly rate. Like this is like on Airbnb, booking.com, etc. So your property is operating as a hotel, kind of like. And there's also like supported living. So supported living is when you rent out your property to the council for different clients, you know, like maybe clients with special needs, disabled clients, or like other needs which vulnerable people needs, you know. So Portia does this, and she's in the call as well. There's also like HMO. So HMO is house of multiple occupation. What is the strategy? This is when you rent out your property room by room. So it could be to professionals or students or contractors, etc. This is where you you like, maybe it's a 5-bed property and you rent out each room separately to each individual, you know. And with these strategies, like, the cash flow varies, you know. All these strategies make money, but it just depends on you as an individual, which strategy are you willing to do, you know. So even like a lot of people say buy to lets is got like the least cash flow, but I think it's the bread and butter of property investing, you know. It's like, especially in this time during COVID, you know, a lot of people with buy to lets were actually smiling because like it was still cash flowing, whereas other strategies did suffer quite a bit, you know. So with the rental space, it all depends on you as an individual, which strategy you want to rent out the property to. So the next R, which I'm going to explain now, is the refinance bit. So this, it gets tricky for most people, but I'll just try explain as best way as I can. So on the refinance is like you bought your property, you've refabbed, which is you've added value, and you've started renting out your property with your chosen strategy. So like the rule of thumb is the refinance usually happens after 6 months. The reason being why after 6 months is because most mortgage companies want you to own the property for at least 6 months before you can remortgage or before you can mortgage it to their product. So that's why everyone in the property space, they say the rule of thumb is after 6 months. So you bought the property and you've been renting it out as a single let. So after 6 months, you remortgage that property. And it also depends on how you bought it. So if you bought it cash, that means you're going into a new mortgage product. So you put a new mortgage product, a buy-to-let mortgage, and most of the time the loan to value of that is 75%. So that means your equity in that deal is 25%, which is the same with all the other rental strategies as well. But all I emphasize here is you need a good mortgage broker, because you don't want to be to commit mortgage fraud when you rent out your property a different way and you get a wrong mortgage product. Yes, other mortgage products are cheaper than the other ones. For example, a buy-to-let mortgage in terms of interest is way cheaper than a serviced accommodation mortgage. So a serviced accommodation mortgage, the interest rates are higher than a buy-to-let. So if you use your buy-to-let property as a serviced accommodation, obviously what you're committing there is a mortgage fraud. So if they pull you up on it, you could be in trouble, etc. You know. So even for supported living, it's like I know a few people use commercial mortgages for that kind of space, you know. And this is just in case if anything goes wrong. But the best person to talk to you about mortgages, etc., is your broker, you know. But the rule of thumb on a refinance bit is it's 6 months rule, you know. It's like a lot of mortgage companies want you to own the properties for at least 6 months. And to further explain where these 6 months came about, I think it was from the 2008 crash, because ahead then I didn't know anything about properties, but you could buy a property at 8 in the morning, and you refinance or remortgage it at 12 noon. You know, you could refinance in 2 hours. So obviously with the 2008 crash, which was caused mainly by real estate, you know, so that's when the banks became stringent on these rules. So that's where the 6 months rule of thumb came in. And having said that, there are other products which you can refinance within 6 months, but that means the interest rates could be higher. It could be expensive product as well, and you've got less choice. So I'd rather wait for 6 months where I've got more choice, more mortgage products to do a comparison with. So that's the refinance bit. The next slide, I'm just gonna do like a run through of a BRR strategy example of what the numbers look like. So obviously these numbers are just from thin air, but it's the principle which matters most here. So you get the principle anyway. Okay, cool. So yeah, that one was meant to be animated, but yeah, forget that bottom right corner for now. Just focus on so we'll do like a property which was purchased at 70K. So that was the buying price. The current market value of that property was 100K. So that, as I explained to you on the B, so the current market value is how the property is looking, yeah, with comparables of within that quarter of a mile radius. I think quarter of a mile is about 400 meters or 500 meters. So if there's no like for like, you can increase your radius to 1 mile or etc. But you always want to find like for like. So this property, this example, maybe the property was a 2-bed and it was advertised for whatever, but the current market value for the property is 100K, and there are other comparables which sold. There are other properties which are 2-beds which sold for 100K, for 95, for 110 within that area. So you get the gist of like the current market value of that property in that condition is 100,000, you know. The end market value. So this is a bit tricky, but like the end market value. So we've done the comparables of those like for like properties, but there's always there's that one property which can be like standing out to say, oh wow, this is a 2-bed, but it was recently renovated, recently added value, etc. It was, you know, like the fresh property which has achieved the highest ceiling price of that street or quarter of a mile radius. You know, so that's the end market value. That's the value which you're most likely to achieve after doing the works in your property. So that's like the ceiling price. So no matter, even if you put a jacuzzi, swimming pool, cinema, blah blah blah, you will never achieve more than 130 or 135 in that street. So that's the ceiling price of that street, that's what they call the end market value. So I hope I've explained myself clear, because this is a bit tricky, but yeah, you get the gist. So with that property, so for this example, let's say we purchased the property for cash. So we didn't use a mortgage or a bridge, which those are the things which you can use to buy the property as well. You can use bridge and finance, or you can use a mortgage product to buy the property. So for this example, it was a cash purchase. After the cash purchase, the refurb, for let's say it was a 2-bed property, and we changed the layout, the floor space layout, and we made the property a 3-bedroom house or something like that, you know, and we put a new kitchen, new bathroom, etc. So that comes up to like 15K. So that's like the industry standard for that kind of refurb. So the refurb was 15,000. So the stamp duty. So if you're buying the property, the stamp duty is usually 3% of the purchase price. So the purchase price was 70K. So the stamp duty is 3% of that, which is 2,100. Yeah. So obviously those stamp duty calculations, there are websites online which can work that out for you. So you don't have to worry about it. Then the professional fees. So the professional fees are the solicitor's fees, the mortgage broker's fees, etc. So for this example, we just took the industry standard to say most people usually pay 1.5 for solicitor and mortgage brokers, etc. If you pay less, that's fine, but like the ceiling price, like it's usually 1.5. So for this typical deal, the total money invested is 88,600. Yeah. So this is like I've just explained how you bought the property, the buy bit. So let's talk about the refinancing, you know, because with this property, you've added value. You bought a property 70,000, which was in that current state, it was worth 100,000, but you bought it because you want to achieve the 130 mark, you know, so you've done a refurb of 15,000 because you want to achieve the 130 mark. So let's say after 6 months, the surveyor goes in and they've seen the property, they've seen the value which you've added to the property, you know, you've done good work, you've done a good refurb, and the end market value, you've actually achieved the 130,000. So what does it mean to you if you've achieved the 130,000 in the refinancing bit. So, okay, cool. That's like the end market value is now 130,000. So obviously you're gonna put the property on a new mortgage, on a mortgage product against the 130,000. So when you're putting a property on a new mortgage product against that 130,000, it means you're leaving 25% as what? As equity, or 25% is the equity. So the way I've done the calculations, I've said 130, which is the end market value, minus 25%, minus mortgage equity, which is 25%, because all the mortgage products want you to leave something in there, something in the deal for them, for them to give you money, you know. So other mortgage products say you need to leave 30% in the deal. Other mortgage products say 35%. Before COVID, you could get a mortgage product asking you to leave 15% in the deal, you know. So with this example, we've just used 25%. You've left 25%. So you're not going to be able to take out that 25%. You leave it where? In the deal. So the next one is actually minusing. So so if you remember there, the total money you've invested in the deal is 88,600. Yeah. So that's your money. That's the money which came out of your pocket, and you bought the property, you refurbed the property, you paid stamp duty, and you paid professional fees. So that's your total investment. So for you to know, okay, how did I perform on this refinance? You minus that total money in. For example, maybe let's say that total money in was for investors. So you minus that total money you've invested, and you paid up your investors. So that doesn't count. So we've taken that money out, which is good. And so the returns on this project is actually, after doing all that, you're actually getting 8,900, you know, as profit. You know, so I hope I've explained myself clear, because I know it's kind of like hard. I'm not good at explaining, but I hope you understand this. So the returns on that is 8,900 profit. And so let's say in this example, you're going to use this property as a buy to let. You know, buy to let, as I mentioned, is you taking the whole property and letting it out in a single AST, so in a single contract. So the rental income, and this is like just rough ideas of those kind of property prices. So the rental income for that property could be £700 per calendar month. Yeah. And so let's say take that £700 and you minus your mortgage interest only. So with these, in property investing, people who do these kind of deals, they pay interest only on the mortgage, so that they don't pay the repayment, which is your interest plus capital. So you just pay interest only. So interest only on I think 130 minus 32,500, that's 92 something. It could be, it's about £300 a month, you know. So the interest only is about £300 a month. I also added like £100, which is like the management fees and the landlord's insurance, etc. So that's another expense, you know, which is £100. So your cash flow in this deal is £300 per calendar month. As you can see in these calculations, I didn't put like council tax, bills, blah blah blah, because that's paid by your tenant, you know, because this is a single let. Only thing as a landlord you're in charge of is your mortgage interest only payments, the management fees for your lettings agents, and the insurance, the landlord's insurance. That's you to pay. So your cash flow. So in this deal, you're walking home every month with £300 per calendar month after taking that 8,900. So you're getting paid twice. Let me put it that way. 300 every month for the foreseeable future, as long as there is a tenant in the house and the tenant is paying 700 per calendar month, you'll be cash flowing £300 per calendar month. So if you've got like deals like this, 10 deals like this, that's like £3,000 a month. So yeah, that's the end of my presentation. And so just to summarize what I've said in a nutshell, I know I just went a bit quick there, I don't know why, but yeah, so BRR, it's about buying right. So buy the property below market value. So the other R, refurbing the property. So you want to refurb the property to a standard where you can achieve the ceiling price. Don't go over the top. So just because the refurb is for you to maximize your rental income. So even if you put gold taps or jacuzzi in a 100K house, you're not gonna make it worth 500K or something. So you want to maximize the refurb according to the standard of that area, yeah. And renting it out. So the renting it out, the objective is to generate cash flow, and there's various ways to rent out your property depending on what rental strategy you attain to, what rental strategy you're using. So this example, we use the buy to let as the rental strategy. Then also the other R is refinancing. So with the refinancing, the objective here is to pull out all the money you've invested in the deal. If you pull out, if you sometimes you can leave 2,000 or whatever amount, of small amount of money in the deal, which is still fine. If that still makes your criteria, I think it's a good deal. You should do it. But like the objective of pulling off the refinance is to pull out most of your money in the deal. So and again, another point which I want to add here on the end market value is because of COVID, other people have been down valued. You know, even if you know the end market value is clearly 130, the surveyor can go in there and say, oh, I think the property is going to be 120 or 125, and they can use the COVID card to say, because no one is so sure about this current market. No one knows the market 100% because everyone knows what's going on outside, you know. So yeah, so that's the BRRR strategy. Yeah, any questions?
Wow. Yes, Thabo, I can always rely on you with hitting us with some really good detail. That was very detailed, very clear. Thank you very much. So I know there will be more questions. I'm just going to ask my own questions first, Thabo, as everyone else compiles their questions. Guys, put questions in the chat box, and we'll go through them as you put them through. So firstly, Thabo, at the start of the presentation, you briefly touched on the importance of understanding the value of the property, not the asking price. Those are two different things, and you emphasized on that. I think it might be worth you actually just going through it again. So you talked about what the person is asking for doesn't necessarily mean it's the value of the property. The importance of understanding the two. Do you want to quickly talk through that again, please?
Yeah, so I think the best way to explain that is let's take a property which has never been advertised on Rightmove or Zoopla, you know. So this property is off market. So for you to go home and do your due diligence to say, yes, I think this property is actually worth this much in that state, you know. No one has told you, okay, how much this property is worth. You've gone home and you've done your research to say the comparables in that area are XYZ. So I think this property, because of these comparables, because of what was sold previously in that property, this is the true current market value. You know, so you work out the true current market value of that property and you make an offer. You know, but a lot of people get confused because if they see something, a price on Rightmove, Zoopla, whatever, they think that's the market value. You know, no, that's just the price which the estate agents, the seller, have put. That's the advertising price, you know, which is different to you actually going and doing your own research, downloading on Rightmove sold prices or on a particular street. So let's say the road is Matthew Road. So you download, okay, what was sold in Matthew Road? Like if there's 100 properties in Matthew Road, so what was previously sold in 6 to 12 months in Matthew Road? If there's nothing in Matthew Road, check the street behind, check the street ahead of that, or check quarter of a mile radius to say what was actually sold. And with that information, you can attain the the current market value, the true market value of that street, you know. And 9 times out of 10, when you work out the true market value and the advertised price, the price which the estate agents or the seller wants, because as a seller, you always want the highest value. No seller has gone out there to say, now I wanna sell my property cheap or in its true market value. Everyone wants more, because what's the point of buying and selling something if you don't want to achieve the highest number, you know? So
well said. Well said, man. Well said. I know we usually discuss the fact that property is one of the only things where the price tag is at a start of a discussion, not what it actually is. Whereas you go into a shop, whatever the price tag is what you pay. But when it comes to property, a price tag is just the start of a discussion. It's like, oh, is that what you're looking for? Well, this is what I'm willing to pay, type thing, and open a discussion. Now, well said. I think it's a really important aspect there for everyone to understand that there's a difference between the asking price and the market value. Don't pay what they're asking for without understanding the value of the asset. Really good, really good. Thanks. And my last question before I go into the ones that are on the chat is, you emphasized, I think it was, oh yeah, there it is there. Warren Buffett, who says you make your money when you buy. And I understand the concept from how you explained it, that the profit is made at the point that you purchase. That is going into the below market value concept that you were talking about. So can you quickly touch on where and how I can find a below market value property? That's what I want to know. If I'm going to be making money at the points that I purchase, tell me where to purchase.
Okay, yeah. So below market value properties, you're looking for motivated sellers. So what is a motivated seller? So a motivated seller is someone who wants to sell quickly, or someone who's selling because they are stressed. You know what I mean? So for example, or someone who's selling because they're in difficulty or they've got a situation. Let me put it like that. So sellers, like people, maybe if there's death in the family, if there's divorce, you know, all those kind of people. Those are the people, or people who are migrating, people who are moving around and they want to sell to move quickly, you know. Yeah, so I think those are the people who can actually give you properties at a below market value, because what's important to them is mainly speed, to get this out of the way. If it's death, if someone is selling because someone died in there, it should be like emotional attachment. They want to like get rid of the property and move on with life, you know, which is the same as divorce and all those kind of situations, you know. But if it's a normal seller, like, you know, like Thabo selling his properties, you'd be lucky to get it below market value. So with these ones, you could find them on Rightmove or on Zoopla, but like just think about it, the logic for it to go on Rightmove or Zoopla, if someone wants to sell it fast, I don't think you'll be able to get it there. You know, you could, but personally, I don't think so. And they have been there. So with these kind of deals, you usually get them off market. You get these deals from what are those people called? The people who take out who take your houses if you don't pay. I forgot the name, but yeah, you find those ones, and also in auctions as well. You can get these.
You're talking about repossessions. Thanks,
yeah,
Alfred.
Repossessions. Yeah, it ran out of here, so you can find them through repos. You know, like also if you're good friends with solicitors lawyers who deal with divorce, those kind of stuff, they can give you a lead to say, yo, Mike and Angela, yo, it's going down there. You know what I mean? So when you go there, you're going to help Mike and Angela to sort out their relationship issues, split the house, and you want to be there quickly because there's always emotional attachment, you know. So yeah,
that's a good point, man. That's a really good point. We've discussed in the past calls before that in many cases you're not just going in and looking at the numbers and just purchasing a property based on the numbers. The more you get to find out the story behind, the more likely you're really going to get some really good deals. As you say, we class ourselves as property problem solvers, and you need to try to find out what the problem is and then see how you can solve it. And in many cases, you get really good deals from that. So well said on that one. So I'm just going to go into the questions on the chat. I'll go through them as they are. And if I need you guys to sort of like elaborate on your questions, I'll just unmute you. So the first one, well, that's Alfred saying, well said, Thabo. I know buy-to-let mortgages typically ask for 25% deposit. Is this the same for commercial and service accommodation, etc.?
Yeah. So the thing about mortgages, they change every day. But I think right now it's the same. So it's the same. But like another rule of thumb, the more deposit or you put in those kind of mortgages, the less your interest payments are, your interest rate. So if you put like 40% deposit, some lenders reduce your interest rates automatically because you've got a bit more equity in the deal as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. But typically 25% is the rule of thumb for all of them. And with the COVID, other ones also depends on your risk profile as an individual. If you've got other properties in your portfolio, you might get away with 20% or 15% because they know if you don't pay or anything, they can gear towards your other assets, So it just depends on you as an individual. But rule of thumb to use on that is usually 25%.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. I think that was Shiona, and she actually said straight after that I just saw the answer. I think on another one of your slides, it actually said what the information was. Shiona, I've just unmuted you, so if that question is fully answered, then great. If you want a little bit more, feel free to just ask. Okay, the next one down, that was Portia saying that it's quite clear and very detailed. Thank you very much.
Cheers,
Ben says 10 deals like this. You gotta love T-Man. That sounds like you, that does.
Yeah,
yes, Ben, it's doable.
That's 3K, man. That's 3K.
Okay. Portia says, how do I find out the rental demand in an area?
Okay, cool. Yeah, so rental demand is it's talking to lettings agents because they're the ones who know the area better than anyone are. So you just ask them like, how's this area? How what's the turnover? People renting it out quickly, etc. And you can actually track adverts online as well. So if you see an advert coming in, the date which it came in, and you can tell when they've said or rented out, like how long did that area did that advert take to go away? So it could be like a week. So you know what, this area is actually hot. So if it's HMOs, what other people do with HMOs, they create dummy adverts on what's it called? Is it Spare Room? Yeah,
Spare Room.
Spare Room or Gumtree or etc. Just dummy adverts. You put nice pictures, etc. and say I'm renting this, and you can tell how many messages and like the demand, like people asking you, oh, is this property still available? Because you've created a dummy advert, you can tell them, no, it's gone. No, it's gone. Or you can build your database from there to say, nah, this property is gone, but I've got another one coming up in 2 or 3 months. I can take your details, That's what's
help, Portia?
The HMO key.
Yeah, no, it makes sense and it's quite clear. But in terms of an area that I'm not familiar with, how do I know you said I can speak to letting agents, but then what if, some of them, they're just telling you what they want you to hear? But
no, that's a good point. But like for me, data doesn't lie. So if you go on where the latest agents actually advertise their properties, Zoopla, OpenRent, Gumtree, and you can start tracking the data over a month or so, you can actually attain that yourself to say, you know what, this area is actually hot, or this area, people are not letting their properties, is taking time to let out a property, and especially if an area is close to those landmarks which are spoke about, it's inevitable, it might have high demands, and also like the profiles, the profiles of the people in that area.
Okay. It makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope that answers your question, to be honest.
No, it did. It did.
Yeah, I've just seen the comment from Alfred saying the more people you ask, the better, which is true. So just ask more agents if one agent is saying one thing, so you can actually do a comparison on what they're saying. Okay, so Shiona says, what's your experience of bank lending to new limited companies?
It was a nightmare. So we did complete on a deal recently with our limited company, but I don't know who to fire on that deal, because I don't know if it was my mortgage broker, it was my solicitor, or if it was the lender. So for me, until I do it again, that's when I'll have a clear picture. But our deal took like 3 months to go over the line. You know, it took 3 months to go over the line. The mortgage, the company was blaming COVID. The mortgage company was so slow that it was frustrating. Very, very slow. Like they will ask a question, and once you reply to them, they'll reply within 3 days, asking more or less the same question like that. You know, you got your point. Like, you know, just write down all the questions you want to ask, and we answer you at once. And then asking one question at a time. You know, so I was always on the phone to the broker. The broker was calling the business development manager every single day. So it was just too frustrating. But with that current market, it was during COVID. So I don't know if it was reduced staff with the mortgage company or whatever. But the reason why I stuck to that mortgage company is because they're the only ones who do something called advanced. So you ask for a mortgage from them, and after 6 months, you can stay with the same company. But if you prove you've added value to the property, they'll give you an advance. So that's like refinance strategy, but it's like we're refinancing within the same bank. So we don't have to go anywhere else, etc. It's the same product, you know. So they're the only ones who did that in Scotland. That's why I had to use them.
Okay, do they operate in England, out of curiosity?
Yeah, Paragon.
All right, cool.
England.
That's one of the questions that's just been dropped there. If you could just put it on the chat, please, Thabo. Okay. So what happens at the end of an interest-only mortgage? Do you sell the house or remortgage on capital repayments? That's from Dells.
Dells. I don't know. I haven't got there yet. I'm only 29 years old, man. Probably the kids who inherited. Now, I think I watched this video on YouTube. It says like obviously with your age as well, like you wanna like a certain percentage of gearing towards your assets, your properties. You know, so right now I classify myself as young, so I can be like I can leverage the bank 75% towards my portfolio. But the more you age, you want to be reducing that leverage to the bank, you know, and also automatically you want to reduce that leverage to the bank just in case there's a downturn, you know. So I know other like landlords with huge portfolios, they are geared around 60%. So 60% leverage towards the bank. So they owe the bank 60%, and their equity is 40%, you know. So in terms of your mortgage, so you always go on a 2 years fixed interest period, and people always refinance. So and what most people usually do is refinance to a higher value, but you can actually leave more money in that deal, you know. So you refinance and don't take out the money. Well, for me, every time I refinance, I want to be pulling out the money and doing other stuff with the money. But you can refinance after 2 years, leave the money, because don't forget as well, over time, our property prices are always increase. You know, so after 10 years, maybe the house you bought for 100,000 could be worth 200,000 or 150 or whatever it's worth. you can always refinance to that, and pull out some money or leave money in the till, so your leverage is worked out in a ratio which you want to work out your leverage on. But like I don't know if you guys have heard what the guy said. Richard Branson said, like there's nothing bad with debt, especially mortgage, because he actually wants to die with mortgage. Because if you're paying life insurance or paying these kind of insurances, once you die and maybe you're owing the bank that 75%, like your life insurance will pay that off. You know what I mean? So, but like for me, like coming from an African background, we're taught never to die owing someone money.
Because they'll follow you wherever you're going.
Yeah. So I know, to be honest, I hope that answers your question, because it's like you always have to. It's all like personal preferences and specific to you as an individual.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the answer to the question really, it depends on what you're trying to do. From my understanding of your question, Dels, is what happens at the end of it, really. So all along, you're just paying the interest, not the actual mortgage itself. But then, like Thabo's touched on, the purchase price, or the value of the property is going up. What you owe essentially stays the same, i.e., whatever it is. So you, at the end of it, it's up to you whether you want to clear off the mortgage and you make a plan to clear off the mortgage, or you want to refinance it if you don't mind actually being in debt, like Thabo said, being in debt and till death. Essentially, it's all dependent. It depends on what you want to do and what's important to you. There's people who value being mortgage free. I'm not one of them. And there's people who are happy to just continue leveraging funds as you go along. So it's just really dependent on what you want to do. Thanks for that, Thabo. Shiona says, what is your opinion on auction purchase? Yay or nay?
I don't know. It's I've never bought an auction, but like during COVID, I did join a few online auctions, and I saw like just people were paying too much for those kind of properties. Like I don't know if it was the fear of bidding or whatever, but like I'll tell you an auction story. I've once been in an auction and I've bidded on the wrong car. I know the feeling in an auction. I know the adrenaline. But lucky enough, I was outbid by anyone. But I almost bought a wrong car because everything is so fast in there, So it's not for me, but it's the principles still apply. Well, if you buy an auction property, they give you the pack. You can do your same DD, your same due diligence. You can check the comparables within the area. If you mark your price to say, okay, cool, I'm going to this auction, but like this is my price. If it goes more than this, I'm not gonna try like outbid it or chase it. That's it. I'm not gonna bid anymore. But 9 times out of 10, people will go to auctions. The properties usually sell higher than what they expected.
Yeah. I think that's an important point there as well. I would recommend with anyone and everyone, whatever that you're doing, whatever strategy you want to get into, get educated first. Don't jump into it just because someone else is doing well. Get educated, whether you actually do property training or you shadow someone who's already doing it. Either way, get educated, please. Okay, so this is a hypothetical question, says Shiona. It's one of them, my friend questions. Hypothetical questions. If you had a lump sum of money to start a property business, what would you do with it?
I think Shiona once asked that in the WhatsApp group as well.
And your answer was give it to Thabo, right?
Yeah, and I'll give you 10% or 8% return on it. No, joking aside, I think the most important thing for me is getting educated. It's like, well, once you've educated yourself, there's many mentors, many coaches out there in the property space. You just do your due diligence and look for one you resonate with and pay for that education. Once you pay for education, you'll be so motivated. You don't want to waste the education you paid for. 2, you've got knowledge. You can actually start thinking outside the box. You've got fresh ideas. 3, you just take massive action. So it's getting educated, taking massive action. I think that's the most important bit, because now it's like, I'll be like, oh, take your money and put it in HMO, but maybe HMOs might not suit your lifestyle. It might not be something you want to do. I wouldn't say take your money, put it in serviced accommodation. All these shiny objects, it's like, yes, people are doing it and people are making a lot of money, but everything, especially in the property space, it all comes down to you as an individual. What's your preference? What are you passionate about? What strategy? Because just because strategy X works for someone doesn't mean that same strategy is going to work for you. Because if you're not educated and if you're not passionate about that strategy, I don't think it should work. So I would get educated and like nail down your goals, what you really want to achieve in the property space.
Preach. That is a valid point, man. Love it. Love it. Love it. I hope that clarifies that, Shiona. You are unmuted, by the way, if you want to ask any more as we go along. Angela and Mike. I feel sorry for Angela and Mike. Bless them. So Emmanuel says, so do you determine end of market value by looking at comparables with latest high price in the area?
It's pretty much, but like I said, you have to be careful as well, because yes, especially now, properties are being sold way over, and so if you determine those ones, like with the end market comparables, you're in terms of the refurb you're trying to achieve, your property should be more or less like that. You can't say, okay, there's this property X has achieved 130, but you do a cheaper refurb or you do like substandard and expect to achieve the 130. It's going to be hard for you to achieve that. So it has to be like for like, and I don't know, like for like, and also maybe achieve that the previous property's expectations if you want to be safer on the refurb side.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, because like for example, Emmanuel, like maybe there is a property which is worth 130, yeah, and you bought your property for 70K, yeah. Other people can what other people do is like, okay, yeah, we take this property, paint it, decorate it, or maybe put new furniture. Come on, that's not adding value. So if a surveyor comes, yes, they'll see new furniture, magnolia or white instead of whatever gray color, but that you just change the color, the paint, but you didn't add value. So other surveyors are clever, so they do what we do as well. They can look, they see what the property was before, and when they come in, they can say, okay, where is the value add? Yeah,
So adding value by adding, like, let's say maybe adding more rooms or partitioning a room, converting a garage, stuff like that. Yeah,
so that's adding value, or also fix and repair. So you might like buy a property and like the central heating, all those kind of stuff wasn't working, or like you fixing and repairing the property for you to come up to high standard. That's still adding value, but like you should like there should be proof like you've added value. Like if the property was sold to you and the home report or the surveyor's report says heating is not working, roof leak, blah blah blah. So if you fix and repair those things and actually modernize the property, you rehab the property. Americans say rehab. It's like the property was on drugs or something, like rehabbing the property. So yeah, so like making it back like TLC to bring it back to the market condition, or even better for the market condition. So you see, so and also with adding value as well, another tip, it's different when you're adding value for a rental property than for a flip property. So if you're buying the property to flip it on the market, you want to like put wow factor. Like if a first time buyer walks into the property, they'll be like, wow. That's when people end up going for chrome switches, all this kind of stuff, but like that's true, Portia. So that's when people go for these chrome finishes and all this kind of stuff, like to entice the first time buyer with the wow factor, But if you add in value for rental, for me, it's sustainability. Well, whatever you've added, is it going to last 5 years, 10 years, you know? Or if you added something which they tend to be calling you back every 6 months to say, oh, the boiler is broken, blah, 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 this and this, you know? So you got to be careful as well when you're adding value, because I know like a lot of people always think like to say, oh yeah, everything has to be cheap, cheap, cheap. But you can add cheap stuff, but like you be getting phone calls after phone calls because things will be broken all the time. Yeah, so to Portia Edit asked the question there, like is there a formula to say for every £1 used how much value is added back? Like there's this guy on YouTube, he's also a property mentor. I heard him say about for every £1 added, for every £1 you've spent on a refurb, you should calculate your value add as £2. So if you spend £20, I think it's like double that. But I don't know with that formula how it works and how far true that is. You know, I mainly base it on the ceiling price, because you can spend a lot of money and still not achieve that kind of ceiling price.
Fair dues. The general one that I tend to hear is £3 actually, but then it's the expenditure of the refurb cost, not necessarily the purchase price. If you're going to spend 15K, you're expecting to add 45K to the purchase to the value of the property, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So that one I meant for the refurb cost as well, not the purchase. Yeah. So you see, these mentors, man, they say anything, bro.
This is not shots fired to all the mentors out there, even the ones on the call now.
Oh no. So if Portia asked, is it 45K profit or it's for? I'm getting confused here.
No, if it's to do with the example that I put in,
yeah,
is like you're expecting to add that much value. So with the £1 that you're spending to do something in the property, you're expecting to make £3 worth of value.
Okay.
So if you're spending 15K refurb, you're expecting to put 45K worth of value into the property. If that makes sense. So if you're purchasing the property at 100K, then you decide to spend 15K on the property, you're expecting the property to be worth 145 at the end.
Yeah. So which is a good point. So for example, like the example we used there was actually we purchased the property. Yeah. So that's what I was gonna say, Alfred, about the ceiling price. So even if the ceiling price for that street or for that quarter of a mile radius is 130, and using that for £1 is to £3 value. If it's 145, but your ceiling price is 130, it's going to be hard for you to achieve 145.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'd have to take both of them into account. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's just like more like a rule of thumb, to be honest. Yeah.
All right. So the next question, which company is that? I think that was Paragon. What's the name of the broker? And does anyone know a good mortgage advisor? I think Thabo has already shared these on the WhatsApp group. Thabo, if you could just share them again, please. I'm happy to do the same as well for mine.
Yeah.
For people with properties in Coventry and Birmingham, which ones are the ideal areas? I think, do you know what? Alfred, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I'm unmuting you. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How's it going?
There he is. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, thank you.
I think this question's got your name written all over it.
Well, I can comment for Coventry for sure.
Yeah.
I guess HMOs, I was speaking from point of view from HMOs because that's what I do. But I guess you kind of need to know the area though. But there's an area in Coventry called Elsdon. So it's anything I genuinely look for anything within a mile radius of the city centre and the station. So generally speaking, the two good areas in Coventry that I purchase properties in within anyways are Elsden and Spon End. There's like two. In Coventry, it's very hard to say the postcode. Like you normally can say the postcode, and it's all good. But in Coventry, I can give you a postcode. Doesn't mean the street could be bad.
True.
So it's even in those areas I'm talking about as well. But Elsden generally is a good area. Obviously, the closer it is to the station and to the city centre, the better. And the same with the Spon End area as well. Those are generally good areas as well. Whitley was, so this is where Jaguar Land Rover have their offices. That was, I would have said, a good area as well to kind of market for professionals who work there. But the current climate and nobody knows what's going on with jobs and stuff, it's a bit tricky. So that's why I fixate on the city centre, because I know people are always going to be willing to live in the city centre. So regardless of what happens to the economy, I don't care, because it's a key location. There's good transport links. The shopping, all the amenities and stuff are close by, so people can still get to those places. So they're always going to be desirable. And as you move further out of the city centre, they become less desirable, in my opinion. So that's why I'm very fixated on literally those two criteria. Is it close to a station? And is it close to the city centre? And is it within a mile? And if it is, I'm happy to purchase that, because those are the first properties people will look for before they start moving out into those different areas.
Now that is brilliant.
The same principle can be applied in Birmingham, but obviously city centre location, more expensive, more
Exactly.
more competition. Everybody wants those properties as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you. Jewelry record to me.
Yeah. Try finding a below market value there.
Yeah,
I hope that clarifies that, Shiona. And guys, if you're looking to find out anything to do with HMOs, purchasing properties and turning them into HMOs and the HMO market, Alfred is the guy you want to talk to. Thanks a lot, bro.
He's coming here next week, so he's gonna give.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
have you agreed? Have you agreed the price and everything? Alfred is coming to speak to us next week.
Yeah. I'll be here.
My guy. Awesome. You've heard it here first, guys. Alfred is speaking next week. It's recorded. We can't take it back. I appreciate it, bro. Thanks a lot for that.
No worries.
All right, cool. So I think the next question was to do about with the £1 and the value on that, which Portia asked. I think we've already touched on that. Has anyone got any other questions, guys? I did say, well, we do say all the time that the calls usually from 5:30 to 7 o'clock, and we try by all means not to go past that, but we don't actually have to stay until 7. So if there's no other questions, we're good to move on. However, I'm just going to give it a minute or two if anyone else has got any other questions to ask. Whilst we're waiting for that, Thabo, I just wanted to say that was a really, really fantastic presentation, bro. Thanks a lot for that. And I've actually picked up a couple of things, and I'm hoping everyone else who was watching has learned something as well. For the guys that are watching on YouTube, if you've got any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below, and we will get back to you. Right. I haven't got any other questions. It looks like you explained yourself nice and clearly, Thabo. Everything was understandable. No other questions to ask here. So one more question. What's your thoughts on the market?
Market is crazy.
Obviously, there's the big talk about whether there's going to be a drop at some point, and this is where the question is coming from. We all want to know if there's going to be a drop at some point. If we're going to be purchasing properties below market value and adding value and all sorts, at what point do we stop? Because we might be stung at some point. What's your opinion?
To be honest, I don't know. That's my honest answer. I don't know where this market is gonna go, but I don't think there will be a huge drop like what everyone is expecting. I know people are like, oh, after fellow finishes, we'll be picking up properties cheap, or you know, like it should be Christmas for property investors. I actually don't think like that, but I think like the prices, it should be like a flat line. Maybe I think there will be a flat line, like it should just plateau. And yeah, but obviously I want the prices to drop, but will they drop? I don't know. Like I know Alfred put a video on the YouTube guy who was explaining there are like good reasons to say yes, he thinks the property market will be like flatline for 2021. You put about 5 or 8 reasons to explain that. And yeah, some of those reasons were valid, but for me, I'm not worried where the market is, as long as I'm buying right, as long as I'm looking for motivated sellers, you know, as long as I'm picking up properties at a real genuine below market value, you know, as long as I'm targeting people who are stressed, distressed properties, you know, like probate properties going through repossession, you know, then you're gonna win, you know. So it doesn't matter if it's a buyer's market, as people call it, or if it's a seller's market, you know. The most important thing is for you to buy right, you know. So if it's a seller's market, yeah, it's 100% good if you're doing flips, because you know, like first time buyers will be paying over the asking price, you know. So that if flips is your industry, that's good. And also people are doing the flips as well, they're scared to say, oh, maybe 2021 people might not have money, but like during COVID, when like people thought like, oh, in October, you remember like March, June times, yeah, I get ready for October, I'm saving up for October, November, blah, blah, blah. Now we're in December and property prices are still going skyrocket. You know, I don't know about other markets, because me, I'm only starting Glasgow, and I'm speaking like from a Scottish perspective, you know, like people are paying over the home report, which is like the surveyor's report, which like in Scotland, if you're selling your property, you have to create a home report, a surveyor's report. A surveyor is to come in and value your property, you know. So if your property is valued for 100K, you can sell it for 150. It's fine. You're not breaking the law or anything. You can even actually sell it for 200K. So other properties, I know a guy who sold his property for £40,000 above the home report, and we're meant to be in a distressed economy. We're in recession. You know, we've gone through, is it 3 quarters of negative whatever. So we actually in a recession, but people still have money. People are still buying properties. So in terms of 2021, to answer your question, Muzi, I think it should be just flat line. If anything, it might be like same as now.
I think you touched on the really important part, where it's a case of it doesn't matter where the market is going as long as you're buying right. Seller's market, buyer's market, we need to buy right, essentially. Like you said, the money is made at the point of purchase. It's not afterwards. So if you buy right, you're going to be fine either way. Good point. Good point. That was a question from Alfred. Hopefully you learned something there, Alfred. Okay. I'm not seeing any other questions. Well explained. Good info to share. And that was very informative. I second that. Thank you very much, Thabo. Is it possible to purchase a buy-to-let as a new first-time buyer?
Wait. I think you asking more on like how much deposit you're gonna use. Is that the question?
No. I think if obviously as a first-time buyer, you're expected to be purchasing a residential property. The question is, can you actually make it a buy-to-let and rent out your first property?
No, you can't. Because it's a residential property, you know. It's a residential property, so you pay 5% or 10% deposit to get that property, you know. So I don't think you can. But you ask me, do other people do it or not? I'll tell you, yes, other people do it. But like the only risk, like I wouldn't say do it online, because you never know what might come back. You know, we live in Libya, you might get sued. But like the reason, the only risk which is there is, just imagine if anything happens on the buy to let, yeah. Let's say worst case scenario, there is fire in your property, it burns the house, it kills 2 people. When they're now researching, doing their due diligence, they're like, oh yeah, this house is actually owned by Portia. This is the bank which gave Portia the mortgage, but it's only a residential mortgage, so it was meant to be Portia in the house, but Matthew and Angela are the ones which were in the house. You know, you just get yourself in trouble for nothing. But that trouble only comes like when something really, really bad happens. Because I've never heard or seen any mortgage company running around or knocking in people's doors to say, hey, well, what type of mortgage do you have? Yeah, you know, like I've never seen that. You know, I don't even know if like banks actually do that, like to do a random spot check or something like that, you know. So I always say, like, you know, if you're in business, you know, and you want to be in business for a long time, just do it right from the start, you know, because you want to be sustainable. You want to be like, you want to grow, you know. So it's like, just do it right. That's my point.
Good shout. Good shout. Thanks a lot. Hopefully that answers the question. I do feel sorry for whoever Angela is, because you've been on her case all day. I think we're just going to take one more question. You raised your hand, Shiona.
It was just clarification on, is it Portia's question? Is that what she meant? Did she mean the type of mortgage, or did she just purely mean, if you don't own a house, can you buy a house and then rent it out?
I think the best is to unmute Portia. Portia, I think you are unmuted, actually. I hope.
No, she's not. Can you unmute her?
1 second. There you go. If you're not, unmute yourself, please.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. What I meant is that, like, I wanted to purchase a property and use it for supported living, which is what I do. But then I already do not own a property, and I don't want to own a residential property. I just want to purchase a property and use it for supported living, which is my business. Okay. So I was just asking, is it possible to purchase a property and use it for buy-to-let, but I don't already own a property, like a residential property?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you could do that. Because sorry, because I thought like your question was like, can I buy the property as a first-time residential buyer? Which, as a first-time residential buyer, your mortgage deposit is 10%. You know, but if you buying the property straight for supported living, that means your deposit is going to be automatically 25% or even 30%, because you're buying it for commercial use, right? Yeah. So that makes your mortgage go your deposit is higher, you know. Yeah, but you could buy it, and you could buy it in your name or even under a limited company, whatever your accountant, like your goals are with your accountant. Because if you buy more properties, it's better to buy it under a limited company. But if you're just going to be buying the one property, I think it would be better to buy under your personal name. But everyone has got different views on that as well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Shiona, have you raised your hand again?
No, I think the question was then answered at the end.
Awesome. I'm conscious that we've run out of time, but there's one more that's been asked here, Thabo. If you could respond to that one on the WhatsApp group, please. Tendai, it says Tanaso, but I know it's Tendai, has said that you didn't mention the CGT, which is capital gains tax. We spoke about it a couple of times in the group. If you could just respond to that on the group chat, and then hopefully that will be helpful to them. And if it's something that's helpful, we can also drop it on the comments in the YouTube channel as well, so everyone else is aware of it. Tendai, I would recommend if you could just ask the question a little bit clearer in terms of what exactly you want to know about that, and then Thabo will respond to it. So Thabo, again, thank you very much for that presentation. I think that was absolutely awesome. And thanks for the guys that are on the call and the contribution from everyone who's asked the questions and answered. And thank you guys who are watching on the YouTube channel. Much appreciated for the support over and over again. Thank you very much. If you're watching this for the first time, we are the Zim Property Investors. There's a link in the description which takes you straight to our Facebook group. You can contact us from that point, and feel free to come and join us if you wish. Please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That will help us to share this value to everyone who finds it useful. And as we've already touched on, we've got a great speaker coming next weekend, Alfred, who's going to be talking about HMOs and some really good development projects. You do not want to miss that, guys. Clear your diaries. Make sure you are here on Sunday at 5:30. Sunday, the 6th of December at 5:30. Please make sure you're there. You do not want to miss that. Okay, so
£1 million deals, £1 million.
I know, some serious money, not the pennies that we've been talking about. This is some serious dollar. You want to be joining.
That was his refurb cost, 100K.
Now, appreciate that. Thank you guys for everyone who's been on the call. Thank you for the guys that are watching on YouTube. I'm just going to unmute everyone. Feel free to say bye as we close, and have a great week.
Take care, guys. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Thabo.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Great presentation.
Okay, no worries. I'll send it to you, mate.